Hey, human family, how are you? It's Darren. Welcome back to another episode of Fully Alive Again. I got a really good video for you guys today. We are going to examine how self-sabotage is induced into our subconscious mind during narcissistic abuse and what we can do to purge this destructive thought process and end this horrific habit. So if this sounds good to you, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's do what we do and dive deep.
No tears, no fears, fully alive again after this years.
What do you think the greatest thing about being a sentient human being is? Being a human being with compassion and the ability to feel, being an empath, or even a codependent. What is the greatest thing about being us? The survivors of narcissistic abuse. It is that it is never too late to change. That when we become aware of something, no matter what our age, we can fix it, change it, and make significant improvements in our lives. There is a lot of misinformation coming from what I believe are narcissists in the academia world of psychology that says after narcissistic abuse, our brains are damaged forever. We can never. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mean to be condescending, but that's the fear mongering in the way that they try to control. And please don't misconstrue. What is done to a child, depending on how they react to it, is a life-changing, altering damage that turns them into a narcissist that can never be changed, in my humble opinion. But if this doesn't happen, regardless of what age that we go through narcissistic abuse, we have the ability to heal when we become aware of what has been damaged in us, what kind of damage has been done to us. And no matter what our age or circumstances, we can create what is called post-traumatic growth. It's how we grow after we've been abused. And when we experience post-traumatic growth, or let me rephrase that, when we are aware that we can grow and do the right things and do the inner work necessary to heal the damage that's been done to us, our lives can improve in miraculous ways. That is the best thing about not being a narcissist. There are many ways that they can grow externally. They can learn new skills like how to learn this software, how to do data entry, whatever. But when it comes to who you are and healing the wounds and changing your perceptions and the filter through how you see the world, that is permanent. And that means they are limited in their growth as a human. This is why I believe they want to stagnate our growth. You see, one of the most insidious things about narcissistic abuse is that it causes you to get in your own way. It causes you to self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is really self-destruction. And make no mistake about it, a narcissist knows that they are doing this. The question is, do you know that they're doing this? And do you know what kind of damage it's done to you so you can get to work and heal and fix these problems? Believe it or not, when we self-sabotage ourselves, we are doing it for a positive intent, for a positive effect or outcome. You might be thinking, come on, man. Come on, man. Are you high? How could that be a positive intent to destroy ourselves. It's self-protection, you guys. You see, we were punished as children when we felt good or did things that were good for us. Now, there's a paradox here that you must understand. A narcissist wants you to make them look good, but doesn't want you to feel good or to be good. A narcissist wants you to make them look like a winner, but they don't want you to be a winner or operate yourself as a winner. They want you to make them look big while you are small. And that's part of the crazy making mechanism that happens when you're in a relationship with one of these people or when one of these monsters are your parent. Does that make sense? So the good news is that we can change all of that by becoming aware of it. Because what we are aware of, we can take control of. What we are unaware of is in control of us. We can stop self-sabotage by learning new skills and doing some deep inner work. But first we have to know what self-sabotage looks like. This first slide will help us do this. The more nuanced you are about the type of self-sabotage that goes on within you, the better. This is kind of a more consistent way that most people who have experienced narcissistic abuse self-sabotage, but this could be a very long list and we could spend hours on each of these things. Number one, looking at this, we keep toxic people in our lives because deep down we feel that we cannot do any better or we don't deserve any better. This is why no contact and being aware of the people we have around us, being hyper vigilant before you let someone in your inner circle is so important. We procrastinate. We all have plans and visions, but we are stagnant on that because, well, there are multiple reasons that we don't have enough time to go through, but one of them may be that we just feel we don't deserve it or we don't think we can achieve it. Next, we shrink ourselves by not speaking up, by not saying no, and protecting ourselves and our time and our energy. Or we don't walk tall and walk with purpose or in confidence because we've been taught that we are punished for doing that. Anyone that you have to shrink yourself for is not your friend. And if you are honest with yourself and evaluate your own behavior when you're around other people and the way that you lead your life, you will find that you are shrinking yourself. This is not healthy and it's a form of self-sabotage. And there are various reasons this happens. People pleaser. That's part of that self-shrinkage. We want to make sure everybody's happy. We put other people's happiness and needs above our own. This is a form of self-sabotage. This is not a good philosophy for living. The world owes you something. Next. What? We've been conditioned for weakness by a narcissistic parent or spouse. And because of our narcissistic abuse, we think the world owes us something. It does not. And I know that sounds harsh, but the world is not fair and life is not easy. Once you understand that, you will stop self-sabotaging because you know that your time and energy needs to be spent on dealing with a world full of evil and destructive people and obstacles. Believe me, I wish I could reward you and do something to make up for the narcissistic abuse that you've gone through. It is soul crushing. But in reality, the world owes us nothing. and it won't come knocking on the front door or in the mail. We have to remember the world owes us nothing. And by thinking that the world owes us something, or that somebody or something's coming to the rescue, is believing that life should be easy. And that's the way that we were raised from a narcissistic parent, or from a narcissist parent. Life is not easy, and it should not be. And you have to prepare for that. And that's why I'm very direct. I do not talk with a tone that's like, "Hi, Angel," or do that. I'm not against that. That certain people have to do that. But there's a side of you. That's why we have a mom and a dad in our world and in our lives. That's the perfect environment. A healthy mom and a healthy dad. One is for that real tender nurturing, and one is for that strength conditioning nurturing. And they are both imperative. Feeling sorry for ourselves, the self-loathing that we do after narcissistic abuse, is a form of self-sabotage. And we sit around feeling sorry for ourselves, and that's okay. I've been stuck there. And we sometimes do this without even knowing it. Please understand, I'm not saying this to make you feel bad or to create shame. This really requires a lot of time and effort to break down the nuances so it's more effective. I'm just giving you a quick little summary and overview of some of this. I could spend an hour on everything that is on this list. But feeling sorry for ourselves is a dangerous trap. And you have a reason and a right to feel sorry for yourself. But for your own improvement and your own self-preservation, that needs to stop, and the sooner the better. And the inner critic, which is next on the list, does a lot of this. And telling yourself, literally saying it out loud or saying it in silence, "Shut up and leave me alone. I am strong enough to get over the things that I've been feeling sorry for." And to talk to your inner critic and demand its silence. You've got to battle that inner critic and tell it to shut up. A narcissist parent put that there. A narcissist spouse, child, narcissist periods. That's where inner critics come from. And they are so destructive. And last on the list is porn. We all know what porn is. That eats up a lot of time. I've had so many clients that when we got down to the nuances of how they were self-sabotaging themselves, porn was a part of that in many different ways. Porn can prevent you from finding that partner and prevent you from learning and maintaining intimacy with a special someone. It's a very toxic thing. Everything in moderation, but most people cannot moderate porn. It's not healthy, period. And then fear porn, the news, the media, that's constantly spreading fear. So many people spend endless hours on fear blogs, on fear porn blogs, fear porn. I almost created my channel to be like that. It's very tempting, and it's very easy to build an audience with that. Both porn and fear porn are the most watched and viewed channels and videos on TV and online. So it's very tempting to do either one of those, but it's not healthy, and it's a form of self-sabotage, even if there's a quick way to be rewarded for it. Does that make sense? And again, I could spend a full day seminar on each one of these items on this list. Okay, you guys? So let's look at a way that we get out of this. Where can we start to prevent this self-sabotage? And I personally believe it's creating a Bill of Rights. And just like how we self-sabotage ourselves, knowing the nuances of your needs is the best place to start. It gives you a quicker recovery. This is just an overview that is relevant for most narcissistic abuse survivors. I have a right not to self-sabotage. I've heard so many people say, you know, it's just how I am. My mother, my father conditioned me to self-sabotage. I've been doing it my whole life. Do you realize you have a right and a need not to do that? And that you are capable of not doing that? A right to love myself and to be loved. Do you know you have a right to be loved and to be around loving people? And you have a right to love yourself? And I don't care if you're an alpha or a simp. Love is relevant. Love is exceedingly important. And again, I could spend a full day on all of the things on this list too. I have a right to be my own person. You don't have to be how others see you, how your parents saw you, as your ex-husband or ex-wife saw you. And you have a right not to shrink yourself. We covered that a little bit. You have a right to decide what's right for you. That is a God-given right. And you have a right to put yourself and your goals first. We are made to feel guilty for not taking care of ourselves. We were literally punished and maybe even tortured by a narcissist parent who destroyed our ability to put ourselves first. That is a God-given human right. You have a right to succeed and to win. No one's going to punish you anymore if you win and succeed. It's okay to open up a can of kick-ass and do you. You've got to grasp that. And you have a right to your time. Your time is your time. And if you want to give away only a minute or 30 seconds, you don't have to answer people's emails. You don't have to answer people's texts or their response to something. You have a right to do whatever you want to in your own time frame. Your time is your time. You have a right to grow and change. Just because you said you were going to do something a month ago, a week ago, or a minute ago, if it's healthy and you have come to the conclusion that you need to do a complete turnaround and walk in a different direction or do something differently, that is your God-given right. You don't need the approval of others. You don't need the permission of others to do these types of things. Does that make sense? So this was a quick summary of how to start to work the self-sabotage out of your life. This is a very, very difficult thing to conquer. Just because I went through this so quickly doesn't mean that it's easy. It is not. It requires work and consistent work and the proper tools to do it. All right? So I hope you got some value out of today's show, you guys. I deeply appreciate you being here. And remember, it is better to be damaged by a narcissist than to be a narcissist. These people are utterly disgusting and miserable. Okay? So don't feel sorry for yourself and say, well, the narcissist did all this to me. They're so special. That is effing crazy. These people are pathetic. So you got a good foundation to build upon. Start doing the work, start building, and start healing. All right, you guys? And what say you? How do you feel about sabotage? Do you self-sabotage yourself? When did you become aware of this, and how did you become aware of this? Or was today's show an epiphany? Please share your story and your opinions below. You matter, and your experiences and opinions matter too. And until next time, I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.
alive again after 6 years.